today's difference maker, Jennifer Castillo, or JC. You like to go by JC.
I do go by JC. Thank
Yeah,
you.
JC. And PhD, by the way, but we'll get into that afterwards. You're in the Detroit area, and you are a CX strategist.
I am. Thank you.
So you have to explain this a little bit to me because, okay, your grandma comes over and says, JC, you're a CX strategist. You've got a lot of letters happening in your job description, and I don't know what that means. Tell me about that.
Well, that's a good question. And I have been asked by my family actually, what do you do? Customer experience is what the CX stands for, a customer experience strategist. I have a set of skills in sales, support, technical writing, and content lifecycle management that kind of make me uniquely suited to creating an elite and let's say, successful client experience journey. I think sometimes companies can get very focused on what they're selling, but they're not paying as much attention to how it's being received by their clients. And, they make the sale and then suddenly it goes to account management and maybe they get checked in on, maybe they don't. But retention is so incredibly important. And all those points along that customer experience journey make a difference in how they feel about staying, right? So if they make the sale and then they start using the product and it's wonderful, but then they have trouble and they reach out for help, what happens then? Do they get the help they need? Do they get bounced around to a bunch of different people? Do they get pointed back to a sports site that doesn't even have the information that they need or that isn't describing it in the way that they need? So that's what I do. I go and smooth all those areas and get those customers' voices to play into how we're developing that customer journey.
Really interesting. How did that happen? How did you end up doing this kind of work? Nobody, I'm sure when you were a little girl, you weren't thinking, gee, I'd really like to get involved in customer experience work.
Didn't even
How did
know
that
that was
journey
a thing.
evolve?
Well, it started, I was in sales at the beginning. And if you're any good at sales, you are a relationship builder. You're building trust. It's none of that stereotype of popping in and selling somebody something they don't need, and then you go off and enjoy this enormous commission. You want people to respect you and to trust you as an advisor. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed those relationships I had with people. And I enjoyed the money that I made. It was this ideal situation, but I ended up feeling like I wanted to go back to school to teach. So I went back to school, got a master's in composition and rhetoric with, in computer mediated environments. And then I went on for a PhD, but I stopped there. I didn't complete that PhD.
Oh, okay.
I actually came back and realized that being an adjunct at the university level wasn't very well paying for a mom with two kids. So I went back into sales, but one of the people I worked with as a graduate assistant in college, getting my MA, contacted me and she said she'd created this position specifically based on my background. And she thought she'd offer it to me first. And that's how I started as a customer support specialist and content specialist at Farm Logs. It was a startup. And that was this bright light of, I loved it. I loved the helping people, but I also loved how much power we had to address issues in the journey, right? Because we're hearing directly from the clients of what they like and what they don't like. And gosh, you guys are so helpful. I really wish, though, that I didn't have to contact you for this specific issue. It would be so much better if I could, if there was some kind of tip video that would show me what to do because, it takes so much time to reach out. It making a difference, being able to contact those people and say, you know what, we heard what you said and we fixed it. Go check it out. And their excitement about being heard, that's it's thrilling.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say in your experience has been one of the biggest sort of transformations you've been involved in changing that experience for customers?
That's a good question. Um, when I was working at Doc Network, they didn't even have a support team. They had their account managers and interns answering support tickets. And it's a complex application. There are a lot of pieces to it. The financial ledgers alone are complex enough to create their own massive segment of questions. And I would say it takes about a year to feel really confident that you understand how the app works. So having interns that are only there for the summer, only have a few months to learn the application, answering these tickets meant that people were given incorrect answers, incomplete answers, were becoming frustrated. And that's why they brought me in to create this support team. And I created it from the ground up, all the processes, all the macros that we used in Zendesk so that we started giving consistent answers to questions. I created an internal knowledge base so that people knew where to go if they had questions, right? Because, maybe somebody discovered this one issue in the app that if you have this little workaround, it'll work better. But if they're the only ones that know it, it's not really helpful for anybody but the people that contact them. And it made my team feel a lot more comfortable that they could answer the difficult questions because they had somewhere to go. Um, we added a chat bot, which made a big difference because we worked generally 8 to 5 until the summer. And then we added hours because we had a lot of camps. Camps, that's when they flourish, is in the summer.
Right.
And we created, there used to be some hostility between the support team, the client success team, and the development team because you'd have bugs that come up here and there, or just opera requests, things that you need the development team to do for you. And there was no understanding of who was responsible for what and how to make things happen and when you could expect them to happen. So that was part of that. Relationship building isn't just on the outside, it's internal. And we created an entire system where we standardized how we submitted our bug requests. And we agreed that we would do a certain amount of testing before we submitted them. And we would put in a risk analysis like, how important is this? What are we standing to lose if we don't fix this quickly? And the development team agreed to an SLA, like we're going to respond to these bugs in this amount of time and these opera requests in this amount of time. And we created a team that included developers, product people, client success people, and support. And we would rate the bugs based on the Fibonacci sequence for things like user business value, time sensitivity, that kind of thing. And the numbers would determine how this bug or opera request rose up in the urgency of the development team fixing them. And you can imagine how impactful that was for our clients because sitting for a year and waiting for something to happen, they don't think that we're still working on it. They think that we don't care and we've completely forgotten about it. And we made such a drastic difference. That was exciting.
That's okay. So you've had some big wins. You've had some
Mhm.
big wins. You've got a few success stories for sure. What's your favorite part of that work? And how do you think your specific talents apply to what you do?
I think I think seeing the difference that I've made in someone's work experience, there's nothing like getting a comment back from someone that you've helped saying, "Oh my gosh, you have made my day or you have made my week. This is going to be 1,000 times easier. And my boss is so happy that I figured this out that, I'm being recognized as one of their top people using the Camp Doc system." Those comments are really powerful. But also, I created teams that really cared about each other and cared about the clients. And I think that ability to bring people together to bond people together, to create that sense of united purpose. I think that's my real talent.
You're a relationship builder, I know, and you mentioned that, and I've seen that it's in your LinkedIn profile at least a couple of times for sure. You're a communicator, and that's your academic background.
Mhm.
What is your, I mean, where does that come from? What is your interest in that? Where does that interest come from?
The writing has always been an interest since I was a little kid. I never imagined myself writing technical articles explaining, giving instructions on how to do things. But when I went back to school for composition rhetoric, I started to learn how how much power language has, um, and I also was informed by, they talk about your why. I think that's a Simon Sinek thing.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I had this moment between sales and support, when I was transitioning positions where I just had this like sudden crisis. Like, why am I getting into this new career? I'm great at sales. Why would why am I doing this other than it sounded interesting? And that's when I really got down to what my purpose is. And I realized my purpose is to help people. That's what makes me energized. That's what makes me feel good about my work. It's what makes me feel uh, excited to get to work. That feeling that you're making a difference, and that yeah, that I'm leaving this legacy, this mark. Even at Doc Network, that whole support team is based in a lot of my foundation, and the way they work is still what I put into place. And I'm so proud of them. I remember on my last one-on-one with my boss, he talked about how how glad he was that I had built this elite support team. Our metrics are far beyond average, far above it. And on top of that, my people are happy. They you could check out the referrals, the people who talk about me on LinkedIn, and you can see that there's a ton from Doc Network of people who just really enjoyed working with me. And that's a great feeling.
What is it about being with a team for you? What's that dynamic like for you? And how do you work with a team to make sure that everybody gets along? Because there are all kinds of different personalities out there, right? We know this. And so what do you bring to the table that helps to kind of glue that team together?
I think, I really try to get buy in from everybody that I work with. I think that my work is greatly magnified by the ideas and thoughts of my team. I think that they are equally important when it comes to building a successful team. So when we talk about the mission of our team, everybody has a say in what they think is most important. Why are we here? What are we doing? And that collaboration goes into all the things that we do because I recognize I can get really excited about the ideas I come up with or something I saw that another company is doing and I can bring it to my team. But then we'll brainstorm about it, or I'll allow them to like ask me all kinds of questions and I ask them questions, and something will come up with a far better idea. And I'll realize that mine wasn't the best one. That is a great feeling for everybody when they feel like it's just like clients, when they feel like they've been heard and they can make an impact on the way they work, then they feel good about themselves. And when people feel good about themselves, they feel good about the people they're working with. It's just a natural byproduct. And yeah, we've had some very different personalities in support. We have our super introverts and our crazy extroverts. But somehow, they're all capable of working together.
They are. I'm the super introvert, by the way.
Super introvert. Is that why you're raising your hand?
That's why I'm raising my hand. Absolutely. That's me. They have to try to convince me to talk at meetings. And somehow I'm able to do things like this, which is interesting, right?
I know interviewing, that doesn't sound like an introvert activity, but
I know. Yeah, it's odd, but hey, to each their own, I suppose, right?
yeah, yeah, there's no one box you can put an introvert into. I would
Absolutely.
say I'm an introvert with social skills.
Yeah,
After talking, like on this interview, I will probably go sit and have a cup of tea and have quiet all around me.
that's it, right? We need to recharge.
Yeah, yeah. I think introverts rule the world, but don't tell anyone I said that.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. Hey, let's look forward a little bit. So you like to learn. I think that's pretty evident.
Oh yeah.
What's something you want to learn next that you haven't had a chance to do?
Well, I've been working on cybersecurity, getting certificates from Google because I find that fascinating. I think it's the hacker aspect of it, the white hats and the black hats, and understanding in more detail how networks work. Um, but I've realized as I go through that I want to get into data analytics more. I have some skills there that I've developed over the course of my career, but I would like some formal training. I would like to see how I can make my decisions more qualified. I can actually pull insights from data because a lot of these tools will give you the metrics, right? But they decide what you're looking at. They decide that first response is important and full resolution time is important. And I want to be able to decide myself, what kind of things do I need to look at to tell me that this customer experience is as effortless as possible? And I want to be able to break those things down myself because I find that the reporting that we get in support and in client success is not the best.
Yeah, and so does that drive you to do something differently going forward? Like if we're talking about making a difference in your next role, whatever that might look like, what do you really want to do to make an impact?
What I've been thinking about, and I don't know if this is all fleshed out, but I think that I want to be in charge of a, a team that is focused on customer happiness, right? The people who do the support, the tickets, the calls. But I want training to be linked to that same team. They're all part of under one umbrella, the training team that creates all the webinars and the LLMs and all the things that motivate people to learn. And I want to have a content team that's focused on all that self service. The training is self service too, but that's creating the best customer experience so all those introverts don't have to reach out to the support team, that they can do it themselves. I think, and I want that umbrella team to be in close collaboration with client success and development. I think that if we make it a priority among all the teams, that the client experience is the number one thing, not the product, not your personal development, not your team development, but the client experience. And we're all engaged in that as our number one focus. And we're all on the same page. That that experience for all of us, not just externally for the client, but internally for all of us, would be really powerful.
That is incredible. How does that translate to your legacy for you? Let's say you're winding down your career and it's time to think about retiring. What do you hope your legacy will be at that point?
Gosh, you've got some deep questions. um, going back to my why, serving others, helping others, I think I want to be remembered as somebody who cared about other humans, who cared about my team, cared about my clients, cared about my company, and that I treated people kindly and compassionately, that I would like that to be my legacy, and I would like to see other people be influenced by that to maybe be a little more careful and kind in how they deal with their own teams and a little more thoughtful. There's this joke in sport that a client calls up and immediately you're like, user error, click, right? Because it's got to be their fault. It's got to be the client's fault. They don't understand how to use technology. It's not our problem.
Have you tried unplugging it and plugging
Oh
it
my
back
God.
in?
Yes. It's amazing how often that advice actually works. But having compassion for those people,
Yeah.
seeing them as people, not just one more email you got to answer, one more call you got to answer, one more sale you got to make, seeing them as humans, that they have feelings, that they're coming from their own places, that they've had events that day that affected how they're dealing with you, and that maybe you can improve their day. You care enough to improve their day. That I think would be what I want on my tombstone.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's say you meet the CEO of your favorite target company in an elevator, the typical elevator pitch or the stereotypical elevator pitch. What's yours? What's your quick pitch to the CEO?
Well, I think I would say I am a client experience strategist that really cares about the customer journey. And I have unique skills in sales and support, technical writing, and content lifecycle management that make me capable of addressing all of the customer journey points for your client experience. I want to be able to come into a company and create a collaborative team amongst all the teams and a happy team that's excited to help everyone that they serve. And I have the technical skills to be able to do that, as well as the relationship building skills that make me happy and excited to do that.
I think that's a pretty good pitch, and I think you've elaborated on all of those things throughout this discussion we've had. I want to ask you very quickly because I'm watching the time. I want to ask you some fun stuff because it's not all about what we do to drive the metrics, right? It's about some of the fun stuff we get to do with our teams too. Favorite TV show of all time?
Like,
Yeah, how come?
it's that it's he's a guy who's super observant and creates this like persona that he's a psychic and he solves mysteries. And the interplay of the characters and the humor is so great. I mean, I've watched it multiple times and I hate watching shows over again, but it is so funny and humor. Oh, that gets me every time. Ted
Interesting.
Lasso is in there too, by the way. They really need more than 3 seasons.
Yeah, I agree with that actually, for sure. Favorite music genre?
I'm pretty eclectic in music. I listen to a lot of different kinds. So I would say, what am I into right now? Uh, I'm really into, I don't know. I'm really into blues. I've
Oh,
started listening to that a lot. What's funny is I watched Reacher. That is a TV show too. He was really into blues and he went to a town to specifically see the birthplace of, I think it was like Blind Jake, something like that. And so I started looking up that guy, but then I started seeing all these other blues artists, and they're amazing. The tales that they tell in these beautiful melodies, and oh yeah, that's my bag right now.
nice, nice. Favorite hobby or something you do for fun?
I like to draw. I do pencil drawings and charcoal drawings, and I love doing that. That's my decompress and draw
Oh,
something fun and creative.
do you share your artwork?
I've put some of my art on my Instagram. So I share it there, but I don't promote it. It's for me, it's just fun. I'm not looking to monetize anything or I I feel like if you get too much into the promotion of things, then you lose the fun of actually doing the thing.
Ah, right, right. Well, we'll have to make sure that we include a link to your Instagram on this someplace so people can check that out, as well as links to LinkedIn and anything else that's relevant for you. Anything that we've missed here, JC?
I don't think so. I think the only thing I'd add is how, in the job hunt, sometimes it can be really difficult and you can feel alone. And I've seen so many posts of people feeling very alone and desperate. And I think the fact that you reached out and offered to help people, to help them stand out as applicants, it's incredible. I've seen a lot of people actually reach out with different things that they want to help. Like, I'll take your profile picture, I'll help you update your summary. Uh, I've seen a lot of caring, a lot of love for other people and the struggles that they're going through from people who are unemployed, but also from people who are employed and just want to help. And I don't think I would have seen that as much had I not gone through the unemployment process myself.
Well, most people are good people. I do believe that. And there are better days ahead, right?
Always.
Yeah. JC, you are a difference maker. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. I've really appreciated the interview. It was fun and not as stressful as I thought it would be.
I'm glad it was fun. That's the idea.